My name is Dr. Cindy Zhang, and welcome to another episode of Determining the Mindset, where we empower women to be dreamers that take action. And today I'm very fortunate to invite Heneka Watkis-Porter. She is an entrepreneur, and she also has her own clothing line, and she lives in Jamaica. But let her introduce herself. So, Heneka, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Cindy, and thank you so much for having me on. It's an awesome pleasure to be here and to share with your viewers, with your audience. Great job that you have started this show. So, of course, I'm based in Jamaica. I'm fun-loving, purpose-driven, determined, passionate. I love to have fun. I am a serial entrepreneur. You know, I'm always doing something, always learning something new, always trying to reinvent myself as a person than I was yesterday.
That's awesome. So what, you have so much going on, because when I was looking at your website, I love a quote that you wrote that is saying that you were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win and prepare to win and expect to win. I love it. Where do you get your inspiration and all of this energy that you have?
Well, I love quotes, and that quote actually came from Zig Ziglar, and it's somebody that I admire. You know, another quote that I love to quote from him is, some people say that motivation doesn't last, neither is bathing, and that is why we recommend it daily. So for me, I get inspiration from quotes, obviously. You know, the words of other persons spoken before with, I believe, would have had some wisdom, and, you know, they are able to guide and pay it forward. So so much so I love quotes that I wrote a book. So you would have probably seen that one of my books is a book on quotes that I looked about 300 thought leaders that inspired, you know, previously and are inspiring now, and I included them in my book. So quotes really do serve as inspiration. And another thing that inspires me really is when I see persons, because even as I'm on Instagram now and I'm doing the live as we're talking here, you know, Ashley, hi Ashley, you know, when I see the inspiration that I provide to other persons, and other persons kind of, as it were, live vicariously through my own eyes, that gives me so much inspiration. So I'm really, really happy to share and to, you know, just to pay it forward, and the things that I have learned and the things that inspire me, to share that. And that's why I'm building my community.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great. And that's what this channel, and like, I know you have your own podcast too. And it's like trying to build community with especially women leaders, right? So
yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your own podcast that you're creating?
Awesome, sure. So let me just give you a little history. So I started the radio show on Power 106, which is a local radio station here in Jamaica. In 2014, it was started as a traditional radio show, and it went on for 3 seasons. And for those 3 seasons that it went on, I was getting traction, you know, persons were listening and they loved it and stuff. And I had great, you know, amazing guests on. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to reach a wider audience. And pretty much I had a conversation with someone. In a nutshell, you know, her response was, why not do a podcast? And she introduced me to John Lee Dumas's EO Fire, Entrepreneur on Fire. I became hooked and thought to myself immediately, this is it. This is what I'm going to be doing to reach the world. Because I've always known that I wanted to reach the world and that I should be impacting the world, not just in Jamaica. And so the Entrepreneurial You, I started making plans for it last year, I think mid last year, and I launched this year, March. And since launch, I have been in 70 countries already.
Wow.
I have some of the most amazing guests. Yes, like every single week I interview global high impact entrepreneurs that are creating waves, like John Lee Dumas himself. I just recently had Amy Porterfield on, Chris Ducker, Persons who are doing amazing things. If you know the app Trello, Michael Pryor was on, and so many other more, yes, other amazing guests that are on the show. And so even recently, I did a research in iTunes. I was looking for something, and I saw that my podcast came up as a top podcast in marketing and management, right next to Gary Vee, right next to Pat Flynn. So I thought it was amazing. So that's what it's about. And building a community to inspire. If you want to get inspiration, if you want to be motivated, every single day we need to be motivated. As I said earlier, I alluded to the quote that Zig Ziglar does, that left with me, that, some people say that motivation doesn't last, neither is bathing. And that is why I recommend it daily. So for me, doing that podcast and recognizing that I need motivation daily. Can I tell you something, Dr. Cindy?
Yes.
That there are times when I'm actually editing the podcast. So, you record and you edit after, and then you go through and you do your show notes and all of that. But when I'm editing, so when I'm doing the interviews, it's like I'm actually listening to a podcast. I'm listening to the wisdom coming from all of these guests. And while I'm editing, so when I'm finished with that and I'm now editing, it's like I'm getting to listen to the show all over again. So you can imagine I'm getting the wisdom of all these amazing people from around the world: Australia, Israel, the Philippines, and so much more.
Wow, that's awesome. How, since we just launched my channel, how do you invite the top guests to be on your podcast? And just it's kind of a learning experience for me too, because I'm just starting, and I would love for your feedback. Yeah. So how do you do it?
So one of the things I do is I actually Instagram, so there, and you have to kind of target. So first of all, you create your target, your hit list, as it were, of the people that you want to interview, and you've kind of figure them out and see where they are, because a lot of times, we tend to stick to the traditional means of wanting to do emails and stuff, but in today's world where everybody is bombarded with all these emails coming in and everything, your email really gets lost, along the way and stuff. So we have to be creative. People are on Instagram. All the influencers, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook. I find I have significant success when I reach out to persons on Instagram in particular, and also Twitter. And they're just normal people who really, as long as you're not stalking them, as long as you're adding value and you can show that you're going to be adding value to them, then by all means reach out. So social media is a great way. Another thing that I know that is something that we're going to be going into, which is a conference that I'm working on. And one of the ways I was able to get these amazing speakers to come on board the conference as speakers, in my introduction to them about the conference, rather than sending them a boring email and stuff, I did a 30-second video introducing it to them and say to them that I'll be following up with an email. Now that got their attention and they reacted in a positive way.
That's cool. I think video is turning, the society now is Instagram, and video is the number one thing to do. And as we're all getting comfortable doing videos, I think this is a great way to open out and reach and search for knowledge, because even though we have all these books, but everybody is trying to learn and do new things, where it's the perfect time to learn things from each other as well.
Correct.
Yeah. So I know you're reading a lot of books. I can see it behind you. Your bookshelf is tremendous. Is there any books that, just on the top of your head, that you can recommend to us? Maybe 3 top choice books that you would recommend.
Okay, so an all-time favorite of mine is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'm sure I see Paul on my Instagram, and I was just on his show too. So yeah, I mentioned that these books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is definitely one that I really, really love. And the sad thing about it, I lent it to somebody and they said that somebody stole it from them. I mean, I can always go and buy it back, but the value that, somebody gave it to me and stuff, and I really attach value to that book. but I no longer have it. But I read it, and from then it has transformed my life. Another book that has definitely transformed my life is Rich Dad Poor Dad. So, Rich Dad Poor Dad is by Robert Kiyosaki,
Mm-hmm.
and The Purpose Driven Life, which is one
Mm-hmm.
that has also transformed my life, by Rick Warren, and of course another one that I really love, and it has actionable steps to it, is Platform by Michael Hyatt. Now, in terms of a tool, it is not necessarily a book per se. In terms of a tool, let me just grab it quickly
Mm-hmm.
and show you. This is this is what accounts now for my. Can you see it properly? Are you seeing it
Yeah,
well?
can you hold it higher?
Oh,
Yep.
okay, great.
Perfect.
Right,
Perfect.
right.
Yes.
So this is what accounts for my productivity. Currently, it is John Lee Dumas's 100 Days to Master Discipline, Productivity, and Focus. And I also have it as some of those books that really mean a lot to me on my website as resources as well, so that persons can check them out. But yeah, obviously, books play an important role in my own personal development.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's so good, and I'm just really this year is like changing my life because I took a course and then I discovered audiobooks. So like in the United States, we're always driving around, right? So
Yeah.
I just started like hitting the audiobook button and I just started listening, and it's like I'm learning tons of things, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, today's world, Dr. Cindy, where you have, technology is at your fingertips. Like everybody's on this level playing field. So no, there's no excuse really for not being the type of person that you were created to be, the type of person that you can be, because we all have this magnificent potential. But what are we going to be doing to allow this potential to be released and to just go out, stand out, and shine?
Yep, I agree. So I think a lot of like newly entrepreneurs, like we have one big question is where do we find content? Like I know we can find content in books, but how do you find what kind of content that is like best for the purpose of the purpose of your business, or like the people that you want to speak to?
Okay, so it's about kind of identifying what they want, because one of the mistakes that a lot of people make is to put content out that they want, they themselves want. But the trick is really to identify, know your avatar, which is your ideal customer, your ideal client, know what they want, and look for content that will serve their needs. So, and you can repurpose your content in so many different ways. For example, when I do my podcast, most of my show notes, which maybe I will be revisiting them in the future, but how it is so far, I transcribe it pretty much word for word, and that in and of itself is a blog post. So you have the audio content that's transcribed into a blog post, and then I also from that do a newsletter that goes out to my community, and I share quotes from that as well. So from the transcription of the show notes and of the podcast and stuff, I also create those little cards, those little images that go out with quotes with what the guest would have said, so that is great for Instagram. I find that people react a lot to quotes than they would to a normal post or anything.
Wow, that gives me such good ideas. Like it's great. Just listening to you is like a person full of knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how tell me more about the conference that you started. What's the name of it, and what like how does it work? Because it's like a virtual place where like all the speakers are there and that you can talk to one another, right? So tell us about it.
Okay, so I'm really, really happy to share that. So I'm interviewing all these amazing guests from around the world on my podcast. And I thought to myself, how can I bring them back onto a platform that my community can benefit? I don't just connect with them once for the podcast and that's it. Let's establish a relationship. Let's forge some partnerships. And so I thought of a virtual conference. But then when I was doing the research, of course, it occurred to me that although it's not so prevalent, there are virtual conferences happening, and there are also virtual expos that are happening. But I didn't see where there was a hybrid of the two, which is a conference and an expo. So I thought to myself, here I am, here's an opportunity to be different. And wanting to be different, I decided that yes, it's going to be a virtual conference and expo. Now, for over 4 days, from September 25 to September 28, that's next week, Monday to Thursday. Yeah. The conference happens with John Lee Dumas as one of the main speakers, Malcolm M.J. Harris, and I have J.V. Crum, I have Dr. Sandy Eliveth, I have so many other persons, Chris Miles and so on, that they're going to be addressing different topics from how to manage your cash flow. We're talking about branding. We're talking about creating that brand. We're talking about simple things that you can do to your website to boost your ranking. We're talking about the law of attraction. We're talking about intuitive leadership, a wide gamut of areas, productivity, and so on. From 18 experts over these 4 days. And thankfully, we have sponsors on board. We have, of course, my own company, Patwa Apparel. We have Brand Profit, Yellow Jamaica, and the Jamaica Business Development Corporation. So over 4 days, all these amazing experts who have been CNN featured, Forbes featured, Huffington Post, ABC, and so on. And what will happen, the presentations will be, because most of them have been recorded already, so they will play in the sessions. But what is also important and exciting about the conference is that we will have, it's a semi-live conference. So in the introduction and the opening remarks and the closing remarks and everything that happens in between to transition to the next session, I will be doing a Google Hangout live. So yes. Ooh. So even persons who didn't buy a pass, who didn't buy a ticket to get to the conference, they will be able to see me doing the YouTube live, the Hangout live, to hear summary of what has happened of the presentations. And so of course they're going to get a little jealous because they did not buy a ticket to see the sessions, so to be a part of the session. So I'm really excited about that. And it's just $49 to attend now. One person alone on that conference, the value is over $5,000. Mm-hmm. So US dollars. So $49 for all these 4 days, 18 amazing speakers. It's like a steal, literally, And to learn more, you can go on my website, Heneka Watkis-Porter.com. That's HENEKA WATKISPORTER.com.
So what if people that has to go to work, are they able to listen to the conference after they come back from work or things like that?
So what I will ensure that I do for persons who have paid to come to attend the conference, even if they don't get a chance to go over those 4 days because they would have had something planned before, or just time doesn't allow, at the end of the conference they will have access to all the sessions, so they can still pay their money and get the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great. I've never heard about this concept before, and just when I was looking through your website, getting to know you, it's wow, I can't believe you're doing it, and that's awesome.
So you know what I love to talk about, Dr. Cindy, to touch on the fact that, because when you say that, it's something that I don't know of any Jamaican that has done it before. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that is even done outside, like in the US or so, on a prevalent basis. And the truth is, I came up with the idea and I knew that it could be done. And there, at one point, there was a little element of fear, like, how am I going to take on this mammoth task? But then I conquered the fear. And when I conquered the fear and decided, and then the fear didn't last for long, like within a few seconds, almost literally within a few seconds, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But then I just, dealt with my fear, faced it, and said, it is going to be done. And then I had all these amazing speakers saying yes to me, like every single one of them, the top of the top of the top that I reached out to, they said yes to me. You know, they see what I'm building, see what I'm creating, and they want to be a part of it. Now, that for me gave me hope. But the interesting thing about it is, so yes, I'm having these speakers on and they're saying yes. And then I'm going along and I realize that, but wait a minute, what is this I've taken on? Because, you know, the technology and stuff, I'm not really a tech savvy person at all. You know, so I began to kind of tear my hair out and like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But, you know, as I just allow myself to quiet down and be still and everything, it all comes together. You know, the sponsors come on board and it's happening. It's actually happening. And when I find that I could actually do the Google Hangout live while the conference is going on, like, whoa, that is just putting an icing on the cake. So yeah, I love it.
How long did you, like, from the start having that concept and then to the finished product? Of course, that will be next week. So how long was this process?
Well, the idea actually came in June of this year.
Okay.
And by the end of June, I had found, so maybe about the middle of June. And by the end of June, I had found a platform that could do what I wanted. Like, I started doing my research immediately, and I found a platform that could do whatever I wanted. Like, yes. So, you know, and pretty much, you know, I gave myself that, it's not a long time really, but, you know, I really did give myself some time so that I didn't have to, you know, stress over it and stuff, and the teething pain, because when you're doing something for the first time, of course, there's a teething pain and there's a growing pains and there's a working it out and getting everything put together. So I gave myself that time, you know, just to settle down a bit and to just, you know, focus and take it easy, so to speak. So I don't have to be pressuring myself to get things done. So no, I mean, I am like pretty much 90% ready. And whatever is left to be done, I can take my time over the next few days until we're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna be one of the speakers of? I'm sure, of course, but what are you gonna be speaking about?
Well, I am just going to be moderating. I deliberately didn't choose a presentation per se, you know. I am going to be moderating, kind of reiterating what the speakers would have said, summarizing it, and just creating that that environment for a positive mindset, for, you know, that atmosphere, create that atmosphere by motivating and inspiring persons. So while they're in the conference, they're able, because even though, like, for example, sessions are scheduled for an hour, not all presentations will be an hour long. So within that time, you know, I go on a live and I talk about what has been said before and reiterate the thing. Of course, my favorite topic is purpose. So maybe every other word, every other thing I say and reiterate and stuff is going to align to purpose, because that's what I'm about, really.
And that's the most important thing. Like, if you don't know your purpose, how would you be able to start, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So I am still so like appalled because of what you're doing, and then your ability to be able to present your ideas and speaking in front of people. So I'm sure you've been through like a lot of conferences that you're speaking in front of people. How do you overcome that fear of talking in front of people?
Okay, so I've always been a talker, but yes, the truth is, although I'm a talker, I'm shy. Believe it or not, I'm really shy. So one of the things that really helped to, in the later years, helped me got through that was I attended Toastmasters in my area, and that helped a bit. But it's like you psych yourself up and you have a lot of self-talk. So whenever I'm about to do a presentation, I talk to myself a lot. You know, I reaffirm who I am and knowing my potential and that I was meant to shine. And I'm going to use that moment. I've been given a platform. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm going to use it to the best of my ability. No, it comes with practice, and it comes with over and over and over doing these presentations, doing these conferences. It comes with practice. And I have a long way to go, but, you know, every opportunity that I get, I grab it with both arms, and I'm going, and I'm ready to go. But just it's a matter of affirming who you are, and knowing that the next person, they may be, you may look at a speaker that you admire, and they're there, and you say, oh my gosh, I could never be that person. But they didn't get there overnight. It really did take a lot of practice. So you need to remind yourself of that it actually does take practice. And in practicing and practicing and practicing, you get better each time. And knowing that you're helping somebody else, knowing that you're inspiring somebody, knowing that others are looking on, and you recognize, though you can't disappoint yourself, you can't disappoint those that are looking on for some level of inspiration, motivation, hope, as it were. You have to deliver. And when you know who you are, it makes it so much easier.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. It's like all like right now, just listening to you, like I can see myself maybe in a year or two, or like because I'm just like starting, and then now it's building up, and getting all the followers. And so it's just having a purpose and knowing that we can do it, and we are putting values in people's life, and that's awesome. So
and you are doing great, actually.
Thank you so much. And one last question is, of course, we want some action steps. We want like how do we empower women to actually step out and just take action? So what are your last advice that you can give for our listeners to just take action steps, and so that they can accomplish their dreams?
So first, I'd want to say you have to go inside. It's all inside. Everything that you're looking for, look inside you, because that's where your potential lies. That's where your light is just waiting to shine. So affirm yourself. It's important to say affirmation, practice affirmation. It's important to practice gratitude. Every single day, be grateful for the blessings that you have. Every single day that you get up, it's an opportunity to shine, and take that opportunity. Don't wait for the day when you look back and you say, had I done this, I would have been here, or, had I just decided to make that step, I would have reached so much further. Make that mistake, do it. But firstly, I want to also say, well, not firstly, continuing on that, have a plan. And when you have a plan, have your strategy. I hold this up again because it's a great tool for me. And I'm not even doing an ad for John Lee Dumas, but when I find a tool that works for me, I really love to share. And so the Master Journal, it sets out your plan for the days ahead, and it's very important to plan. And I mean, I could tell you so much. One of the things I also want to share, yes, and I see, although I'm on this live with you, this hangout with you, I have my Instagram asking me what keeps me going. I had said that earlier, but just the fact that I see other people being inspired by what I'm doing. So let me just quickly on a side. Let me get back to your show. I love this, right?
Yeah.
So right. So one of the things I also want to say is that when you get on your journey, enjoy your journey, because it is easy for you to become frustrated. It is easy for you to say, oh my gosh, I'm not reaching my target. Oh my gosh, I'm not making the strides that I want to reach. But I want you to enjoy your journey. It's very, very important that you enjoy your journey. Trust the process, because it will happen for you. As long as you put in the work, it is going to happen. And don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to, okay, so I'm doing this right now and it's not working. It's okay to pivot. It's very okay to pivot. I started Patwa Apparel. I had my outlets, my store and stuff, and it didn't work. It wasn't working, and I had to close it down. And I'm now online, And initially it was all about, oh my gosh, I have a store. But no, it is so much more than that. So while I build that brand, Patwa Apparel, I'm also building my personal brand, Heneka Watkis-Porter, where I'm doing the speaking, I am doing the books, I am doing the podcast, I'm doing the conference and stuff. And so as I grow, others are growing with me. I'm taking them along with me. I'm not just doing it for myself, but I'm taking others along. And so enjoy the journey, trust the process, stay in your own lane. Don't look at what other people are doing. because, you know, those shiny objects, and it looks greener on the other side. The grass is always green on the other side. But you know what? If you water your own grass, it will be green as well.
I love that. I love that. And I think we all have our own mission, right? Our where we are and how we got there. We can all share our own journey, and that's what's great about podcasting and YouTube and any social media. It's just showing and taking people along the journey with you. Thank you so much, Heneka Watkis-Porter, and I just love this time to be able to share with you and talk with you. So can you tell us one more time where to find you, and how do we register for that expo that's coming up?
Okay, great. And I want you to go and register right now because time is running out, right? So it's henekawatkisporter.com, HENEKAWATKISPORTER.com. When you go there, there's a tab that says register for conference, and there's also a link to the on the left hand side. Well, when you go on podcast, well, let me not send you all over the place. So register for conference, that's the tab on the website. And when you go along the website, you will see you'll see other places there that you can register. You can find me on Instagram. So it's Heneka_Watkis_Porter on Instagram. On Twitter, it's at the Entrep You, which is short for the Entrepreneurial You. So it's THEENTREPYOU at the Entrep You on Twitter. Yeah, that's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Heneka Watkis-Porter. And of course, if you want to check out my clothing line, it's Patwa Apparel, PATWAAPPAREL.com, Patwa Apparel on Instagram, Patwa Apparel on Twitter, and Patwa International on Facebook.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we want to end this podcast by sharing that my name is Dr. Cindy, and Dr. Cindy Zhang, and this is sponsored by Cozy Physical Therapy. And have a good day. If you like this YouTube video, please subscribe and like us. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me.